ॐ तव कथामृतं तप्तजीवनं कविभिरीडितं कल्मषापहं शरवणमङ्गलं श्रीमदाततं भुवि गणन्ति भूरिदा जना. Your words are like nectar, bring life to scorched souls. They are praised by poets and remove all sin. They are auspicious to hear, wonderful and exalted. Those who spread these words throughout the world are truly giving souls. Welcome to our class on the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. We're on chapter 31, Advice to Ishan. This began on Saturday, October 11th, 1884. And now we're on page 616 at the top of the page. Just to review a little bit, and this to me is one of the most interesting chapters in the entire Gospel. And we see Sri Ramakrishna in a different kind of mood. He's in an ecstatic mood, but at the same time, almost an ecstatic scolding mood. And he doesn't hold back anything. This advice to Ishan is really, anybody else would have been reduced to ashes. He knew that this Ishan could handle it, could stand it, but very strong words to Ishan for his benefit. And Ishan, we see, took it in absolutely the right spirit. We stopped at the point where Ishan said, because all of this is taking place right in front of the Kali temple, so that in clear view of the image of Mother Kali, with just to remind you of the Ishan, that he had this great desire to do this Purush Charan with the Gayatri mantra and to do all the formalities, the Sandhya, Vandana Puja and everything. He had all the Koshakushi, all the different elements that needed for the worship there. And Sri Ramakrishna sees this when he's coming out of the Kali temple. And he had mentioned this several times to Sri Ramakrishna, and Sri Ramakrishna didn't forbid him, but made it very clear that he wasn't much in favor of this, that many times he would mention that these Vedic rites and rituals are not the best for this present age. And he really felt it would be more helpful for the Ishan if he did something. He wants to do some special austerity, that's something with the Divine Mother. It seems that this was what he was trying to tell him. And Ishan, for his own reasons, decided to just disregard what Sri Ramakrishna said. And so this is a very, very dramatic scene, that it's sunset, the Thakur just leaving the Kali temple in some ecstatic mood. Others are there, and he has this mostly one-way conversation with Ishan. Now, at the end of it, we find that Ishan holding on to the feet of Sri Ramakrishna and feeling that he's just received some very special gift. And he says, this is where we left off. Ishan pointing to the image, these words from your sacred lips have really come from there. That means the Divine Mother. And this was the experience that Sri Ramakrishna himself had, that it was a mother who supplied the words for him. And when he's especially in this ecstatic mood, these things are just coming out of his mouth as if Divine Mother is speaking through him. Master, I am the machine and she is the operator. I am the house and she is the indweller. I am the chariot and she is the charioteer. I move as she moves me. I speak as she speaks through me. In the Kali Yuga, one does not hear the voice of God, it is said, except in the mouth of a child or a madman or some such person. Now, this I am the machine and she's the operator. they're not just the famous Ramprasad song. There are many songs, Kamalakanta and others, that have the same theme. And this is an attitude that one can take if one is really willing to completely abandon one's own ego and self-will and everything else. Otherwise, it's hypocrisy. And so we know the story of Duryodhana and everything, saying basically the same thing to Sri Krishna: "Don't blame me. You dwell within my heart. I'm doing it, acting as you make me do." It's not meant for excuses. It's not that I did something terrible. God dwelling within is the real doer, and I'm just the instrument, and that's not my fault. It doesn't mean that. This is something that is said by someone who has the highest realization on the one hand, and also who has that attitude that looks upon God as mother, and has that real feeling that mother is the real doer, the real agent within. Now, what can we do if we like this attitude? We can say that whatever happens is the will of the Divine Mother, but we take responsibility for our own decisions, and then we accept whatever comes. This acceptance and surrender to the will of Mother. We can all try to practice that, but there's a other idea that if I say it, I know it's hypocrisy. That these aren't my words; these are Mother's words. That's, to me, that's ridiculous. For Sri Ramakrishna, it's the truth. Yeah, because there was no ego, but everything was cleaned out inside of him. He used to say that just as one cleans out the pumpkin, scrapes out so that there's not only no seeds, no fibers, anything, completely clean and scraped out. Uh, that's what his inside was like. No trace of ego or anything. So, yeah, so he could say that. Ramprasad could say that. It's Kamalakanta with these great bhaktas of Divine Mother that who wrote these songs and everything. Yeah, in the Kali Yuga, this seems to be something that was accepted at that time. There's no incarnation of God during the Kali Yuga. This is a statement that somebody in the Gospel makes. Can't remember who it was. And then Sri Ramakrishna says, "Oh, really?" And then he says, "Oh, no, you are that Rama," or something. But then Thakur says, "No, don't say that." But this, so one does not hear the voice of God except through the mouth of a child or a madman or some such person. Sri Ramakrishna was all three, because he had that attitude. He used to say, "He's a realized soul. Sometimes the behavior is like that of a child, sometimes a madman, sometimes a ghoul, sometimes an inert object." So these all applied to him. A man cannot be a guru. Now, this is another theme that we find. Thakur says this over and over again, and it's confusing because he obviously was a guru. Holy Mother, obviously, she was a guru. But it meant that if one wants to really be a real Sadguru, one has to feel that that ego is gone. God alone is dwelling within. God alone is the one giving the initiation. God alone is the one taking responsibility for the disciple. Yeah, that anybody has that feeling that, no, I am doing it. I am the guru. Then it's a type of hypocrisy. So a man cannot be a guru. That means an ordinary person. Everything happens by the will of God. Heinous sins, the sins of many births, and accumulated ignorance all disappear in the twinkling of an eye through the grace of God. When light enters a room that has been kept dark 1,000 years, does it remove the 1,000 years' darkness little by little or instantly? Of course, at the mere touch of light, all the darkness disappears. Now, we have two ideas running parallel. One is that this realization will just happen like that. And the other is that the very gradual progress that we're making in spiritual life. And they're both true. There's no contradiction whatsoever. That it may be a very long struggle, and that very gradually we're cleansing ourselves of all of these passions and desires and everything. But when we reach that point where uh, we make a little jump, there's a little transcendental leap, then that'll be just a flash like that. This is so. There's really no contradiction at all. That we may have to search for many, many years to find the room, get in the dark room, and search all over, listen, and then finally we find the light switch. Then we flip it on, and then automatically everything will go. So, but Sri Ramakrishna, he used to talk, even if we accept that, he used to speak about different types of uh, illumination experiences, and one was hot, one was just in an instant. Others were sadhana siddha. He would talk about where gradually through spiritual practice, even swapna siddha he talked about, and kripa siddha through grace. But these are just examples of what's predominant. All of them require grace. All of them require, almost all require sadhana. But some seem to be. All of a sudden that means that we see somebody and we don't understand how they attain to such heights of spirituality without doing too much practice and without showing signs of great spirituality before that. So we say, yeah, it just happened all of a sudden, but there's always something behind it. Yeah, either previous lifetime or Thakur gives another nice illustration. He says that uh, they found a person that in the morning he had one small cup of wine to drink, and he's singing and dancing like a drunkard. So everyone say, "How is it possible? He did just a small amount." And then somebody says, "You don't know. He's been drinking all night long." So we don't know for how many lifetimes in the past, yeah, we've done our spiritual practice and have called on God. What can a man do? He may speak many words, but after all is said and done, everything rests with God. The lawyer says, I've said all that can be said. Now the verdict rests with the judge. This is very important that we have to exhaust ourselves and say, okay, this is the utmost that I can do. Now it's up to you. You reveal yourself, good. You don't, at least I know I did everything that I possibly could have done. Yeah. There's an expression that we hear a lot about athletes, football players especially. They'll say, I left it all on the field. Yeah. See, sometimes we will pace ourselves and uh, do about half of the energy because there'll be another game next week or something. But the final game, then we don't hold anything back. This left everything on the field. That means 100%, whatever possible energy and uh, effort I could have made, I did everything. And now we're content. We're satisfied. Whether we succeed, we don't succeed, at least we know that we did whatever we could. Then it's out of our hands. Then it's up to the judge to decide. Now, Sri Ramakrishna is going to get a little philosophical again. Brahman is actionless. So this means nirguna Brahman, because he'll always say that same Brahman that is actionless is also with action. Yeah. Achala, Sachala. The same Brahman. But now, so this means this nirguna, this absolute Brahman, is actionless. When it is engaged in creation, preservation, and dissolution, it is called the primal power, Adya Shakti. This can also be called Saguna Brahman. It can also be called Ishvara. It can be called all different names, Divine Mother. So here Thakur is talking in terms of this Shakti, the Shakti that belongs to Brahman, the inseparable from Brahman. So the same actionless Brahman has the potential to be engaged in this process of creation, preservation, and dissolution. Then we give it a different name. That's all. But it's one and the same. That the absolute aspect of Brahman, if we can talk about that, absolute aspect of Brahman is ever present and unchanging. The Brahman that's engaged or involved in this process of creation is temporal. That at the time of creation, this will be active. At the time of dissolution, yeah. But we shouldn't think that Brahman, like the snake is either coiled up or moving. That coiled up part, that absolute part, is always there. And I'll give the example that I usually give: the woman and the mother. Yeah. Once the child is born, the woman becomes a mother, but she doesn't cease to be a woman. That's the nirguna aspect. That's always there. And the other aspect is only there when the child is there. So Brahman is actionless. When it is engaged in creation, preservation, and dissolution, it is called the primal power, Adya Shakti. This power must be propitiated. Now, we get a whole new aspect to all of this, because we get this Nirguna Brahman and Saguna Brahman is still not the personal God. If we think in terms of the Upanishadic system and model, then this power to create belongs to Brahman, but it's not a personal God in the sense that it makes decisions, decides to do it. Let me do it now. It's just a process, something like that. Yeah. So we don't have this real concept of personal, full-blown concept of the personal God in the Upanishads. And I've mentioned this before, Swami Lakeshmaranandaji, that he gave a lecture in Hollywood once. And the first sentence that he made was just a shocking statement. He said, "There's no personal God in the Upanishads." And maybe he said even in Vedanta, I don't remember now. But yeah, because this is a later development. I think he said there's no personal God in Vedanta, then explained in the Upanishads. But as soon as we get to the Bhagavad Gita, then full-blown concept. So the Bhagavan then comes, but it's not really part of this strictly Vedantic or Upanishadic worldview. So how do we understand this? That now this power that belongs to Brahman and now is a self-aware, conscious living being somehow that we can pray to propitiate. That means we pray to the Divine Mother and she answers our prayers. Yeah. So logically, there's a little leap of faith. It's very hard to explain exactly, but this was such a living truth for Sri Ramakrishna that, and there's such a strong tradition with not just worshippers of Divine Mother, but all worshippers of personal God, that there is some, not just being with a capital B, but some, and not even just some power, but some awareness, some divine being. We use the word God. We don't have too many good words for it. That has its own self-consciousness and somehow is aware. Now we can explain it that this is God dwelling within the heart, hears us our prayers that way, but this is one of the great mysteries of life. But for Sri Ramakrishna, the Divine Mother was more real than anything else. And Swamiji, in the beginning, Swamiji would say, these are all fictions, these are hallucinations of your mind. Monad Bhul, he used to say. And towards the end of his life, Swamiji had the same experience. He felt the presence of Mother guiding him. And he made a great statement that there is some divine presence in this world who thinks of herself as a woman, this divine mother. This is a statement that only a mystic can make, who has that type of experience. Swamiji had tremendous uh, faith and devotion to the Divine Mother at the end of his life. Even from the time, really from the time that Thakur gave him that experience in the Kali temple in Dakshineshwar. But it grew more and more and more, and he never talked about it. He used to say, "This is my own private fad that he doesn't talk about it." But so this is a tremendous statement. This power must be propitiated. So it's not just a power. This is a divine being that can respond somehow. Don't ask me to explain these things. Yeah, but those who practice this, yeah, we can say, well, just a spiritual attitude. I don't think Sri Ramakrishna would accept that. No, it's reality. However we understand it. So let me read this again, because we go, Brahman is actionless. We start with the very highest ideal, Nirguna Brahman. Then we get this idea of creation. Then we get this idea of personal God. Brahman is actionless. When it is engaged in creation, preservation, and dissolution, it is called the primal power, Adya Shakti. This power must be propitiated. Don't you know that it is so written in the Chandi? The gods first sang a hymn to the Adya Shakti in order to propitiate her. Only then did Hari wake up from his yoga sleep. Yeah, so we have this very nice word, prasanna. Yeah, prasanna. It means that really Mother is turned around and she's facing us with a very sweet, loving smile. And we know that she's accepted our worship, she's pleased with us, and she'll grant our prayers. Prasanna Vadaram Devi. We have in this the hymn to the Holy Mother with that type of look on the face. Ishan. Yes, sir. Brahma and the other god sang this hymn at the time of the death of the demons, Madhu and Kaitava. Swaha, Vashat, and Swadha art thou, thou the inner self of the mantra, thou the nectar of immortality, O everlasting one. Eternal and unutterable art thou, and yet thou art manifest in the three matras and the half matra. O goddess, thou art Savitri, thou art the ultimate mother. All things have their support in thee, by whom this universe was made. O goddess, thou sustainest all, and all by thee is devoured. Thou it is that we call the Creator when thou createst the world, O embodiment of creation. Thou it is that we call the Preserver when thou preservest it. Thou it is that we call the Destroyer when thou destroyest it. Yeah, we have this Trimurti idea. People who don't know anything about Hinduism, the first thing they'll taught is, yeah, that Brahma is the creator and Vishnu is the preserver and Shiva is the destroyer. But every tradition, whoever they worship, is all three. It's an interesting thing. Shiva will be all three of them. Vishnu will be all three. Here, Divine Mother is all three. So these are kind of symbolic types of things. But what I find very interesting is this Ishan. He's showing off a little bit. Yeah, why will he, after all of this, why will he recite? It's a hymn that most people know from Chandi, but why will, in front of Sri Ramakrishna, chant this whole thing? Did he not learn anything? Yeah. Any other people? It always struck me as a little odd that he would do that whole thing. But anyhow, now Sri Ramakrishna, he makes a statement that he makes several times in the gospel. Yes, but you must assimilate that. Yeah, Tobe Dharana Chai. This is a statement that he says if we see, Sri Ramakrishna was predictable. He was very predictable sometimes. If anybody made a big statement, They're not showing off a little bit, but maybe a touch. Then he'll simply, he won't say, yes, very good, this is nice. He'll say, yeah, easy to say. Yeah, Dharana Chai, easy to say, but you have to, yeah, there's nothing that you just memorizing some verses and everything. You have to assimilate it. That means you have to make it part of your life, part of your personality, part of your character. You have to live according to it. You have to have conviction with regard to it. Anybody can memorize it and recite it. Yeah. So Thakur knows what's in a person's mind, why they're saying things, and how much it means to them and everything. Yeah. Especially since Thakur wanted him to be worshiping the Divine Mother. And now he's reciting some hymn, Mother, you're this, you're everything. Yeah. And now you're saying it after disregarding me. So all very curious and interesting, these things. The master rose. So all of this is right in front of Mother Kali. Yeah, this whole dialogue with M and Adha and others, they're watching. The master rose. He mounted the platform in front of the shrine and saluted the mother, touching the ground with his forehead. The devotees quickly gathered around him and fell at his feet. See, they know that he's in a divine mood. He's in an ecstatic mood. That really, if there's ever a time when Thakur is one with the Divine Mother, it's when he's in this mood. So this is almost like our Kalpataru day. There's a miniature version of it, that he's in this mood, and they all recognize it, and they all bow down before him. Not that he's granting them anything special, but the same type of thing. And here's our chance to be able to touch his feet at this time when his mind is in this state. It would be a great blessing. So the devotees quickly gathered around him and fell at his feet. They all begged his grace. He descended from the platform and started toward his room, conversing with M. First he sang, I bow my head, says Prasad, that means Ramprasad, before desire and liberation, knowing the secret that Kali is one with the highest Brahman. I have discarded once for all both dharma and adharma. So for Sri Ramakrishna, see, even the Upanishadic view, we can say that God is both nirguna and saguna. God is both nirakara and sakara. But Sri Ramakrishna would add also personal and impersonal. Yeah. So this is really what we get in post-Upanishadic Vedanta. This is such a strong theme in Gita, and then in all the Puranas and everything, everything that takes place after that. This idea that there is a reality to the personal God. Sometimes we think that yes, through the cooling influence, I'm making water turn into ice and take form and everything, but there's some reality beyond that. Only those who experience it can really say. The master continued, do you know the meaning of dharma and adharma? This is the last line that he sang of the song. I've discarded once for all both dharma and adharma. This is actually the last line of the song. Do you know the meaning of dharma and adharma? Here, dharma means religious acts enjoined by the scriptures, such as charity, shraddha, feeding the poor, and the like. The performance of this dharma is called the path of karma. Now, with Sri Ramakrishna, we've seen many times that he uses this path of karma in different ways. One will be really the ritualistic way of doing things. This even he'll say that this is the old Vedic ritual. That it's not suited for today, and then he almost dismisses it. Then this will be the second kind that is relevant and it's good, doing charity and helping people and all of that. But as an exclusive spiritual path, some ego comes into it, and he says that this is also we have to have some devotion behind all of this. Otherwise, And then the last one is we do everything as an offering to God, the way we understand from Gita, which he fully endorses. But for him, that falls under Bhakti Yoga. Yeah. So he says the performance of this dharma is called the path of karma, that is charity, shraddha, feeding the poor, and the like. It is an extremely difficult path. It is very hard to act without motive. That means that some desire for recognition, desire for praise from others, and all sorts of things that come into that. Therefore, one is asked to pursue the path of devotion. So the path of devotion is not contrary to this. All of these things can be done, feeding the poor and like seeing God dwelling within. Then it's also Jnana Yoga. Yeah, it's just that we do everything just out of a feeling of superiority or pity or compassion. Then it's doesn't meet that same high level for Sri Ramakrishna. Now he'll tell a little story about the difficulty of trying to do things to get merit. This is one of the ideas of karma yoga also. Pure karma yoga, we don't care for punya or anything, but there'll be people who do good acts so that they get some good karma. So he says, a man was performing the shraddha ceremony at his house. So someone had died, and they were doing the final rites. He was feeding many people. Just then, a butcher passed, leading a cow to slaughter. Yeah, butchers and slaughtering cows. It's not exactly that they will do these to sell them in the market. These will be cobblers. Yeah, those who will be making shoes and things out of the hide, considered to be very outcast group. He could not control the animal and became exhausted. He said to himself, "Let me go into that house and enjoy the feast of the Shraddha ceremony and strengthen my body. Then I shall be able to drag the cow along." So he carried out his intention. But when he killed the cow, the sin of the slaughter fell also on the performer of the Shraddha. That is why I say the path of devotion is better than the path of action. Yeah, this is also a difficult story because we generally assume that our intention is the most important thing. It's the person who fed this poor man had no idea what he was going to do. But anyhow, just to show the difficult nature of karma. One thing I can add that this cobbler caste, there's always the suspicion that they're killing cows. And the reality is that, at least as far as possible, they're finding carcasses and tanning them and everything. There was always that accusation against them in the community. I know a little bit about this because there's a very famous example of Swami Ashokanandaji, who worked with his cobbler community in Habiganj. Yeah. And that was always the thing that people thought that'll be one of the reasons why they're outcasts, that if there's some suspicion they're killing cows. And secondly, if they're handling dead bodies, even of cows. I mean, but he and others after, not just him, he started it. Others from this Habigan ashram, they raised this cobbler community to be a self-sustaining and almost accepted in society community. It's fantastic what they've done with that community. They even had their own union and everything. And in the beginning, they just would tan the hides, and then they learned to make shoes, and they got some education and everything. And otherwise, it was completely uneducated community. And that's beside the point. So this whole scene is over now. This chapter, Advice to Ishan, it had some preliminary things that'll go on, but this is the real gist of this chapter. The master entered his room, accompanied by M. He was humming a song. The forceful words of renunciation that he had just spoken to Ishan found expression through its words. He sang the lines. Yeah, renunciation. That means not giving up this world and going into the forest. It means caring only for God realization, giving up any other desire. So he sang the lines, Mother, take everything else away from me, but leave me my necklace of bones and my pod of hemp. Yeah, we have to remember also that the Ishan is an elderly man. He's entering the final stage of his life, just like Shankaracharya seeing the old man reciting the rules of grammar that's underneath the verses and things. And took pity on him, composed his Bhajagovindam. And Sri Ramakrishna sat down on the small couch, and Adhar, Kishori, and other devotees sat on the floor. Master to the devotees. I was noticing Ishan. So apparently Ishan is still sitting outside. We don't know if he's continuing with that or what he's doing. Why? He hasn't achieved anything. What can be the reason? He practiced the Puruscharana for 5 months. So this is what he wants to do starting again. Yeah. Oh, bless you. This is doing a fixed number of japa, however he wanted to do with the Gayatri, from the new moon increasing every day to the full moon and going back again. So apparently he did that 5 different months in a row. He practiced the Puruscharana for 5 months. That would have caused a revolution in any other person. Adhar. It wasn't wise of you to say those things to him in front of us. Now, this is another, it sounds very impudent. Who is he to scold Sri Ramakrishna for being rude and out of place and saying these things in front of other people? But it shows how these devotees had such an intimate relationship with Sri Ramakrishna and could talk to him just like a friend. How Narendra, how he would even scold Sri Ramakrishna and everything. When they were in his presence, there was such a close, sweet, intimate relationship that he could say things like that, and it wouldn't seem so out of place. I don't know if anybody else could have said it. That was the nature of the Adhar. He was also strong. He also had his fight with Sri Ramakrishna. That he wanted to get this big position, big job, and make a lot of money, and Thakur wasn't much in favor of it and everything, and he didn't let up. He didn't get it, but still. So he also had this little stubborn streak to him. So now what will Thakur say? You rascal, who are you to say something like that to me? No. He says, how is that? He is so much given to japa. How can words affect him? After a while, Sri Ramakrishna said to Adhar, Ishan is very charitable now because Thakur respected him very much for his good qualities. Ishan is very charitable and he practices japa and austerities a great deal. The master remained quiet a few moments. The eyes of the devotees were fixed on him. Suddenly, Sri Ramakrishna said to Adhar, you have both yoga and bhoga. Yeah, he used to say that many of his householder disciples were like that. That they were holding on to the world with one hand, holding on to God with the other, and this is what they're supposed to do until they can let go of the world. That means reach that maybe the retirement stage, vanaprastha stage or something. Okay, so this is the end of that day. The next section is Saturday, October 18th, 1884, 1 week later, and it's Kali Puja time. Yeah. It was the day of the worship of Kali, the Divine Mother. The worship was to begin at 11 o'clock at night. Yeah, there's several pujas, the Shivratri, Kali Puja, that go through the nighttime puja. Several devotees arrived at the temple garden early in the afternoon. They wanted to visit Sri Ramakrishna during the holy hours of the night of the new moon. M came alone to the garden about 8 o'clock in the evening. The great religious festival had already begun. Lamps had been lighted here and there in the garden, and the temples were brightly illuminated. Yet normally coincides with Diwali. So we always see extra lights and things at that time also. Music could be heard in the Nahabat. The temple officers were moving about hurriedly. There was to be a theatrical performance in the early hours of the morning, Jatra. Yeah, most of these nighttime pujas, they'll have this little country drama play that they put on, so people can be entertained through the night. It's hard to stay up all night long. Nowadays, I hear Shivaratri night that the movie theaters stay open all night long, so people can watch movies all night and say that they stayed up all night. There was to be a theatrical performance in the early hours of the morning. The villagers had heard of the festive occasion, and a large crowd of men and women, young and old, were streaming in. Yeah, we know about this type of jatra when Sri Ramakrishna was just 11 years old, and they had that for Shivratri, and he had to play the part of Shiva and went into the ecstatic mood at that time. But it's very common that there'll be different troops, different groups, sampradayas that will put on these different performances and plays and things. They're very charming. In the afternoon, there had been a musical recital of the Chandi by Raj Narayan. Sri Ramakrishna had been present with the devotees and had enjoyed the recital immensely. Yeah, there are a few of these people that become expert in this reciting Chandi and was very dramatic and ma, and singing songs and everything, the recordings of them and everything. Now, at that time, of course not. As the time for the worship approached, he was overwhelmed with ecstasy. M found Sri Ramakrishna seated on the small couch in his room. Baburam, the younger Gopal, Haripada, Kishori, a relative of Niranjan, a young man from Aryadaha, and other devotees were seated on the floor facing him. Ramlal and Hajara were in the room part of the time. Niranjan's young relative was meditating in front of Sri Ramakrishna as the master had bidden. He would do this sometimes. He would say, "Let me see you meditate." So you have to sit there with eyes closed. And sometimes he would give some instruction or something, but this is not uncommon. M saluted the master and took a seat. After a while, Niranjan's relative bowed low before Sri Ramakrishna and was about to depart. The young man from Aryadaha also wished to leave. The master said to Niranjan's relative, "When will you come again?" Devotee, "Perhaps next Monday." Master eagerly, "Do you want a lantern to take with you?" Devotee, "No, sir. I live next to this garden. I don't need a lantern." Now, he lives so close, and we don't know his name, and we don't hear about him coming back again. Yeah. How some people, and Thakur praised him and saw something special about him, but the poor guy just didn't feel that attraction somehow. Master to the young man from Aryadaha, "Are you going too?" Young man, "Yes, sir. I have a slight cold." Master, "All right. Cover your head." They again saluted the master and took their leave. It was the awe-inspiring night of the new moon. The worship of the Divine Mother added to its solemnity. Sri Ramakrishna was seated on the couch, leaning against a pillow. His mind was indrawn. Now and then he exchanged a word or two with the devotees. Suddenly he looked at M and the other devotees and said, "Ah, how deep the young man's meditation was." To Haripada, "Wasn't it deep?" Haripada, "Yes, sir. He was motionless as a log." Master to Kishori, "Do you know that boy? He is a cousin of Niranjan." This is our Swami Niranjananda. Again, there was silence in the room. Haripada was gently stroking the master's feet. The master was humming some of the songs he had heard that evening during the recital of the Chandi. He sang softly, "Who is there that can understand what Mother Kali is? Even the six darshanas are powerless to reveal her." Yeah, this is another theme of the worshippers of the Divine Mother, is that they very openly admit that everything about Mother is inscrutable. How does one have the experience of Mother? She is not to be found in any of the systems of philosophy. One will not get her darshan. There's a play on words. Yeah. Darshan and Achai darshan. One won't get the vision of the Divine Mother by pouring through all of the different systems of philosophy. That whoever receives her grace will have that experience. That's all. And whoever calls upon her. Sri Ramakrishna sat up. That's also a Ramprasad song. With intense fervor, he began to sing about the Divine Mother. All creation is the sport of my mad mother Kali. Now, why mad mother Kali? Who else could have created this world but a mad person? It was people killing themselves and wars and uh, wealthy people stealing all the money of the poor people, and yes, unspeakable crimes against humanity. This is the world we live in. All creation is the sport of my mad mother Kali. By her Maya, the three worlds are bewitched. Mad is she, and mad is her husband. Mad are her two disciples. None can describe her loveliness, her glories, gestures, moods. Shiva, with the agony of the poison in his throat, chants her name again and again. The personal does she oppose to the impersonal, breaking one stone with another. Though to all else she is agreeable, where duties are concerned, she will not yield. Keep your raft, says Ramprasad, afloat on the sea of life, drifting up with the flood tide, drifting down with the ebb. Yeah, this Ramprasad, uh, he gave a whole new uh, way of worshiping Mother Kali that so opposed to this idea of the bloodthirsty goddess that has to be offered uh, goats and sheep and buffalo and everything, that just completely turned it upside down, that the most loving form of mother that a child can imagine. And how it just set the stage for Sri Ramakrishna, that uh, he was so inspired and it matched his mood so much that he used to look upon Ramprasad as almost his ideal in spiritual life. How many times he said, Mother, you revealed yourself to Ramprasad. Why not reveal yourself to me at the time of Sadhana? The master was quite overwhelmed with the song. He said that songs like these denoted a state of divine inebriation. He sang one after another. This time I shall devour thee utterly, Mother Kali. Another Ramprasad song. For I was born under an evil star, and one so born becomes, they say, the eater of his mother. Yeah. But then it says, but you won't go to my stomach. You'll be seated in my heart. Yeah. These are all beautiful songs. Then, O Kali, my mother full of bliss, enchantress of the almighty Shiva, in thy delirious joy thou dancest, clapping thy hands together. And then, if at the last my life breath leaves me as I repeat the name of Kali, I shall attain the realm of Shiva. What does Benares mean to me? Infinite are my mother's glories. Who can find the end of her virtues? Shiva, beholding their smallest part, lies prostrate at her lotus feet. What does Benares mean to me? There's a story behind this that Ramprasad wanted to make a pilgrimage to the holy city of Kashi, Benares. And he had some vision of the Divine Mother that I dwell within the heart. You establish me here, something like that. And just like Rani Rashmani had that vision, Mother Kali said, no, I'll be happy here. And it was near the Dakshineshwar temple. So there are many songs of Ram Prasad where he says, sitting in my own room, I go on pilgrimage. So he gave up that idea. So that many of these events in his life entered into his songs. Yeah.
Who develops this love for Mother Kali, despite the fact that all this ghastly image of Mother Kali, uh,
Yeah. This Bhavatarani is not really considered to be one of this terrible image of Mother Kali. There's some sweetness to it, and she has it's kind of a half and half, offering bones and everything. Yeah, these are Ugra Murtis. These the Thakur we warned his householder disciples especially. You keep them in your don't keep them in your house unless you worship them and everything like that. Yeah, of course he knew. I mean, they did this goat sacrifice and everything there. I mean, he knew that side of it. That was also part of it. With Swamiji, Swamiji was, we can say, almost more attracted to that idea. We don't hear Swamiji thinking of himself as a small child gazing at the eyes of mother. Yeah, he liked this idea, this terrible aspect that mother is responsible for everything good and everything terrible in this world. If there's a power that brings down the rain to water the crops and allow life, there's the same power that's causing floods and tsunamis and everything. Yeah, Divine Mother. So, yeah, but for Sri Ramakrishna, this appealed to him more. It seemed this idea. And then, if the last my life breath leaves me as I repeat the name of Kali, I shall attain the realm of Shiva. We read this. Okay, the singing was over. The two sons of Rajnarayana entered the room and bowed low before the master. In the afternoon, they had sung with their father the glories of the Divine Mother. The master sang again with them. All creation is the sport of my mad mother Kali. The younger brother requested Sri Ramakrishna to sing a certain song about Sri Gauranga. Now, why will he do this the night of Kali Puja? Huh? And Sri Ramakrishna, does he say, no, this is not the right time? He sings it. He didn't seem to mind, but then immediately goes back. Yeah, it's a very funny thing that maybe they were really Vaishnavas who they were professionals, so they would sing different songs at all different times. Yeah. The master sang, Gaur and Nitai, ye blessed brothers, I've heard how kind you are, and therefore I have come to you. Ramlal entered the room. The master said to him, please sing something about the Divine Mother. So that he really wanted to hear those songs that night. It is the day of her worship. Ramlal was a good singer. And this is one of the reasons why Swami Brahmananda liked to keep his company so much because he could sing. Swami Ramananda loved to have keep people around who could sing. Yeah, many of his disciples were good singers. So Thakur would ask him to sing sometimes also. Ramlal sang, who is the woman yonder who lights the field of battle? Darker her body gleams, even than the darkest storm cloud, and from her teeth there flash the lightning's blinding flames. So this is more the Kali of Chandi that we know. Disheveled, her hair is flying behind as she rushes about, undaunting in this war between the gods and the demons. Laughing her terrible laugh, she slays the fleeing asuras, and with her dazzling flashes, she bears the horror of war. Again, Ramlal sang, who is this terrible woman, dark as the sky at midnight? Who is this woman dancing over the field of battle? Sri Ramakrishna began to dance to the song. Then he himself sang, the black bee of my mind is drawn in sheer delight to the blue lotus flower of Mother Shama's feet. This is a beautiful song. It's Kamalakanta song. The blue flower, the feet of Kali, Shiva's consort. Tasteless to the bee are the blossoms of desire. My mother's feet are black, and black too is the bee. Black is made one with black. This much of the mystery these mortal eyes behold, then hastily retreat. But Kamalakanta's hopes are answered in the end. He swims in the sea of bliss, unmoved by joy or pain. After the music and dancing, Sri Ramakrishna sat on the couch and the devotee sat on the floor. He said to M, "It is a pity you weren't here in the afternoon. The musical recital of the Chandi was very fine." Some of the devotees went to the temple to salute the image of the Divine Mother. Others sat quietly performing japa on the steps leading to the Ganges. It was about 11 o'clock, the most auspicious time for contemplation of the Divine Mother. The flood tide was rising in the Ganges, and the lights on its banks were reflected here and there in its dark waters. From outside the shrine, M was looking wistfully at the image. Ramlal came to the temple with a book in his hand containing the rules of the worship. He asked M if he wanted to come in. M felt highly favored and entered the shrine. He saw that the Divine Mother was profusely decorated. The room was brilliantly illuminated by a large chandelier that hung from the ceiling. 2 candles were burning in front of the image. On the floor were trays of offerings. Red hibiscus flowers and bell leaves adorned her feet. She wore garlands round her neck. M's eyes fell on the chamara. This is the yak tail they used to fan Mother. Suddenly he remembered that Sri Ramakrishna often fanned the Divine Mother with it. With some hesitation, he asked Ramlal if he might fan the image. The priest gave his permission. M joyously fanned the image. The regular worship had not yet begun. Now remember, M had the same attitude that Narendra when he first came to Sri Ramakrishna. Wouldn't step inside the temple. He was a member of the Brahmo Samaj, bowed down before the Mother and everything. And now, a complete transformation. The devotees again entered the master's room. Benipal had invited Sri Ramakrishna to visit the Shinti Brahmo Samaj the next day, but had made a mistake in his letter with regard to the date. Master to M. Benipal has sent me an invitation, but why has he put the wrong date? M. The date was not written correctly. He wrote the letter carelessly. As Sri Ramakrishna spoke, he was standing in the middle of the room with Baburam by his side. Yeah, this is that period when he couldn't really bear the touch of others when he was in samadhi. This is why he wanted the Baburam, Swami Premanand, to stay with him. He leaned toward the disciple, touching his body. Suddenly, he went into samadhi. The devotee stood around with their eyes fixed on him. The master's left foot was advanced a little. The shoulder was slightly inclined to one side. His arm rested on Baburam's neck near the ear. After a while, he came down from the ecstatic state. As he stood there, he put one hand to his cheek and appeared to be brooding over something. Then, smiling, he addressed the devotees. Master, I saw everything, how far the devotees had advanced. I saw Rakal, him, pointing to M, Surendra, Baburam, and many others. Hazra, me? Master, yes. Hazra, many more obstacles? Master, no. Now, here, this is the egotistical show of Hazra, not many more obstacles. Because he's part of this lila, he's part of this play. Yeah. Who knows how Thakur judges things. Hazra, what about Narendra, his good friend? Master, I didn't see him, but I can tell about him. He is a little entangled. This is after father passed away. He had the lawsuits. His family was starving. Yeah, naturally. But I saw that everyone will succeed. To him, I saw that all are in hiding. That means that if this is their last life and they're that spiritual stature, that they should be glowing. People will recognize their greatness. But it wasn't like that. Oh, it's better. Oh, what is this?
Sri Ramakrishna সব দেখলুম কার পদ্মর এগিয়েছে রাখাল ইনি সুরেন্দ্র বাবুরাম অনেককে দেখলুম হাজরা এখানকার
and
Sri Ramakrishna হাজরা Deshiki Bandha,
Yeah.
Sri Ramakrishna.
Yeah. But many more obstacles. Yeah. So Hazrat, like Sri Ramakrishna sometimes would point to himself, this place. Hazrat also says, yeah. Instead of really saying, and me, it's, yeah. And what about this guy? Yeah, something like that. The devotees listened to these words with great wonder. It seemed to them that they were hearing an oracle. Master, but I got into that mood by touching Babu Ram. Hazra, who was first? Sri Ramakrishna was quiet for a time. Then he said, I wish I had a few more like Nitya Gopal. Yeah. Another little difficult to understand aspect of this Leela, how Thakur praised him so much. He was in the Paramahamsa state and everything, and yet never really fell within this Antaranga state, somehow like that. I wonder about one thing. He was a relative of Ramchandra, and Swamiji was a relative of Ramchandra. I wonder if they were related or it was from the different sides of the family. You could probably tell. It gives the family. I don't understand all of these things. These maternal from this side of the family and that side and everything, but it could be that they were related, distantly related. But I didn't realize that he was. That's why he stayed with Ramchandra most of the time. That he was also some type of nephew of his. Again, he appeared thoughtful. He remained standing. He said, I wish Adharsen's duties would become fewer. Here, the Adhar is trying to increase his duties to make more money. And Thakur knows he's not going to live long also. But I'm afraid the English officer will scold him. He may say, what is all this nonsense? All smile. Okay, we can stop here. So we're in the middle of page 621. Om Niranjanam Nityamanantarupam Bhaktanukham Bhatata Vikraham Ishavataram Parameshamedya Tam Ramakrishnam Shirasa Namama. We bow our heads before Sri Ramakrishna, who is stainless, of infinite nature, whose heart melts in sympathy for his devotees, who is an embodiment of the divine and the Supreme Lord, and ever worthy of our worship. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, peace be unto all. So we wish everyone a very happy New Year. And on the 1st, we have our puja, Kalpataru Day Puja, and that will start at 11. So anybody who can come, otherwise it'll also be live streaming. People can see that. Yeah. So thank you very much.